She walked into a bank where people like her were never supposed to be. Minutes later, she opened a box someone was willing to kill for. Emily Walker covered the last few steps and stopped in front of the bank building. It wasn't a place people entered by accident. First Atlantic Trust didn't look like a normal bank. It looked like an institution that judged you before you stepped inside. Glass walls reflected the city. Carved stone framed the entrance. Massive white columns rose overhead, cold and unforgiving. Emily took a deep breath and tightened her coat. Her shoes were worn thin. Her bag had been bought years ago, on sale. Her hair was pulled back in a simple knot, practical, careless. She didn't look homeless, but she didn't look like someone with money either. For a moment, she considered turning around. Then she stepped inside. The air changed immediately. It was quieter than the street, colder, controlled. Marble floors reflected soft lights. Security cameras watched from every angle. People spoke in low voices, as if afraid to disturb the space. Emily felt small, like she didn't belong to this version of her own life. She adjusted the strap of her bag and walked forward. The security guard noticed her the second she entered. Mark Collins, mid-20s, broad shoulders, military posture that never fully went away. He had learned to read rooms and people. His first instinct was simple, wrong place. But Emily didn't hesitate. She walked straight toward him. "Excuse me," she said calmly, though her fingers trembled slightly. "Can you tell me how to get to the safety deposit boxes?" Mark blinked. The question didn't match her appearance. "Do you have an appointment?" he asked, keeping his voice neutral. "No," Emily replied, "but I have a key." She hesitated. "And I need access." Edward Novak's office radiated authority. Dark wood furniture, a heavy desk, leather chair, framed certificates aligned with surgical precision. A small American flag stood in the corner. Novak himself barely smiled. Late 40s, perfect suit, eyes that never softened. He had a reputation, not for kindness, for results. Emily placed the key on his desk. "It's box 12, she said. "It belonged to my mother." Novak studied the key. Old, worn, real. He typed something into his computer and stopped. "That is an old box," he said slowly. "Very old." Then he stood. "Let's take a look." Steel doors closed behind them. Keycards, codes, cameras. Each barrier made Emily's heart beat faster. Inside the vault, Novak checked the registry. "No activity in years," he muttered. He slid the box toward her. At this point, he should have left. Policy required privacy, but he stayed. Emily noticed. Fear kept her silent. She opened the metal box and lifted out a carved wooden jewelry case. Dark wood. Heavy. Old. She opened it. Gold. Rings. Chains. Bracelets. Earrings. Enough to erase decades of struggle. Her mother had been a janitor. They had counted coins for groceries. Some nights, dinner was tea and bread. Emily couldn't breathe. At the bottom lay a folded note. She saw it and closed the box. Not here. Not in front of him. "I'm leaving," she said. Novak smiled. "You shouldn't walk alone with valuables like that," he said smoothly. "I'll assign an escort." Mark walked beside her. They talked about childhood, mistakes, life turning the wrong way. Emily spoke about her mother's illness, the hospital bills, the last whispered words. "I left you something," her mother had said. Doctors called it delirium. It never felt like nonsense. At her building, Emily hesitated. "I have tea," she said quietly. "As a thank you." Mark almost refused. Then he said yes. Later that day, Novak asked for the address. Mark gave it to him. As he turned to leave, the office door didn't close fully. He heard Novak's voice. "Tonight," Novak said into the phone, "she's alone. Jewelry box. Same plan." Mark froze. He realized what he had done. Mark left work early. Traffic moved painfully slow. When he arrived, a black SUV waited outside Emily's building. 2 men, 7th floor. The door opened. A struggle. A gunshot. Pain tore through his shoulder. But he didn't let go. Police arrived. The attackers were arrested. Edward Novak was taken from his office in handcuffs. Later that night, Emily sat alone. She opened the note and finally understood who her mother really was and why her past had been buried so deeply. Some secrets aren't meant to stay hidden forever. If this story touched you, support the channel with a like. Subscribe, because real stories matter.